Good leaders don't just react, they respond. And how we respond to toxic people says a lot about us, not just about them. Toxic people exist everywhere, at work, in our families, even in our friend circles. They spread negativity, they drain energy, and if we're not careful, they pull us down to their level. But smart people, people who truly understand leadership, growth, and success, treat toxic people differently. Let me tell you a story. There was once a young leader I met, brilliant, talented, and driven, but he had one problem. He kept getting derailed by one toxic team member. This person gossiped, resisted change, and found a way to make everything about them. And every time they did, this leader reacted. He got frustrated, he argued, he let this toxic individual control his energy, his decisions, his mindset. Until one day he made a shift. He realized something. Toxic people don't take power. We give it to them. Power is an interesting thing. Most people assume it's something others take from us, something they steal, something they force upon us. But the truth is, in most cases, power is something we give away. And this is especially true when dealing with toxic people. Toxic individuals thrive on control. They manipulate, provoke, and drain the energy of those around them. They create chaos, stir up conflict, and often leave people feeling frustrated, defensive, or even defeated. But here's what smart people understand. Toxic people don't take power. We give it to them. Think about the last time you encountered someone toxic. Maybe it was a coworker who always found a way to criticize everything you did. Maybe it was a friend who constantly played the victim, making every situation about them. Or maybe it was a family member who knew exactly which buttons to press to make you feel small. What was your response? Did you argue? Did you defend yourself? Did you spend hours replaying the conversation in your head, wondering how you could have handled it differently? If so, you gave them power. See, power isn't just about authority or control. It's about influence. It's about how much space someone takes up in our minds, how much they affect our emotions, and how much they dictate our actions. The moment we allow a toxic person to shape our mood, consume our thoughts, or dictate our responses, we've handed them power they never actually had to begin with. Smart people recognize this. They don't allow themselves to be pulled into unnecessary battles. They don't waste energy on people who are committed to misunderstanding them. They don't react emotionally to every passive-aggressive comment, every attempt to provoke, or every effort to bring them down. Instead, they choose where their energy goes. One of the most powerful things we can do when dealing with toxic individuals is to pause. Not react, not engage, just pause. Because in that moment of stillness, we reclaim control. We remind ourselves that we don't have to play the game. We don't have to justify, argue, or defend. We don't have to prove anything to anyone who isn't genuinely invested in understanding us. Now, this doesn't mean ignoring every problem or pretending issues don't exist. It doesn't mean letting toxic behavior go unchecked. What it does mean is choosing our battles wisely. It means recognizing that not every insult needs a response, not every argument deserves our participation, and not every toxic person is worth our attention. Toxic people want a reaction. They feed off of emotional responses. They want to see you upset, angry, or thrown off balance because it validates their sense of control. But when you remain calm, when you refuse to give them the emotional reaction they're looking for, they lose their power over you, will have over their lives. By focusing on what they can control, their reactions, their boundaries, and their own growth, they free themselves from the exhausting cycle of trying to fix the unfixable. And in doing so, they create a life that is not only more peaceful, but also far more fulfilling. At the end of the day, power isn't something that can just be taken from us. It's something we allow. And the moment we recognize that, the moment we stop giving toxic people the control they seek, we free ourselves. Not by changing them, but by changing the way we respond to them. That is the true mark of wisdom. That is the real power. Toxic people are everywhere. They exist in workplaces, families, friendships, and even in social circles. They manipulate, criticize, create drama, and drain the energy of those around them. Many people believe that if they just say the right thing, explain themselves enough, or show enough kindness, they can change toxic individuals. But smart people know the truth. You can change toxic people, but you can control how you interact with them. This realization is freeing. It removes the pressure to fix people who don't want to be fixed. It eliminates the emotional exhaustion of trying to make someone see reason. One of the biggest mistakes people make when dealing with toxicity, instead of wasting time and energy on someone who refuses to grow, maybe it's a friend who always plays the victim. Smart people shift their focus to every situation into an emotional crisis, their own reactions, maybe it's their own boundaries, constantly undermines mental well-being. Maybe it's a family member who is always negative, always criticizing, always making you feel small. The temptation is to believe that if you just explain things differently, if you just show them enough empathy, if you just try a little harder, they will change. But toxic people don't change unless they want to. And most of the time, they don't want to. Smart people accept this. They stop hoping for a different version of the same person. They recognize patterns, not promises. They don't fall for empty apologies or short-term changes that quickly revert back to toxic behaviors. Instead, they take control of what they can. Their response. The most powerful response to toxicity is non-engagement. Toxic individuals thrive on emotional reactions. They want to see you frustrated, upset, or defensive. They get satisfaction from knowing they can control your emotions. But when you refuse to react, when you remain calm, when you choose not to engage in their drama, you take away their power. This doesn't mean ignoring every problem. It doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. What it does mean is choosing your battles wisely. It means understanding that not every insult deserves a response, not every argument is worth having, and not every toxic person deserves your time. Setting boundaries is a key part of this. When dealing with toxic people, boundaries are essential. Maybe it's limiting conversations with a negative coworker. Maybe it's deciding not to answer calls from a friend who only brings drama. Maybe it's choosing not to engage in heated discussions with a family member who refuses to respect your opinions. Boundaries are not about being rude. They're about protecting your peace. Another crucial element is detachment. Smart people learn to emotionally detach from toxic individuals. This means not letting their words or actions affect your self-worth. It means realizing that their behavior is a reflection of them, not you. It means refusing to take their toxicity personally. This level of detachment takes practice, but it is incredibly powerful. It allows you to stay in control of your own emotions rather than letting toxic people manipulate them. It keeps you from getting pulled into unnecessary conflicts. And most importantly, it gives you the freedom to focus on the relationships and activities that truly bring you joy. At the end of the day, we can't control other people, but we can control how much access we give them to our minds, our energy, and our emotions. Smart people don't waste time trying to change toxic individuals. They accept them for who they are, but they also decide how much influence those people. They become frustrated because their tactics no longer work. This is why smart people approach toxic individuals with intentionality. They don't engage in pointless arguments. They set clear, firm boundaries. They focus on their own growth rather than trying to fix someone else's toxic patterns. And most importantly, they remind themselves that they are in control of their own energy.